So how important is giving thanks? We see Jesus gave thanks even before the miracle happened. In Matthew chapter 14, we read the account of the miracle of loaves and fishes. And the Bible says that taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he what? Gave thanks. He gave thanks before the miracle happened, before they saw the food multiplied. When Jesus gathered the loaves and the fishes, he stopped and he gave thanks. In John chapter 11, when Jesus literally rose Lazarus from the dead, the Bible says his body was in the tomb for 4 days before Lazarus rose. The Bible says in John 11:41 that Jesus prayed, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. You see, Eucharisteo is the thanksgiving that precedes the miracle. It's a thanksgiving that wells up inside of you before God has even said yes, before you've seen the healing happen, before you've seen the financial miracle you've been praying for, before you see the relationship restored. It's the heart of thanksgiving to God, saying, God, you are enough for me. Regardless of the season I'm in, regardless of how hard the road is that you're calling me to walk down, church, the Bible never says this life is going to be easy. There's some hard roads we're going to have to walk down. There's some dry seasons we're going to have to weather. Eucharisteo is a heart of gratitude, a heart of thanksgiving that precedes our miracle. Ann Voskamp says this: facing the abandonment of God himself, Jesus offers thanksgiving for even that which will break him and crush him and wound him and yield a bounty of joy. There's a joy that comes even in the hard places. Something deep down inside that recognizes who God is. How many of you know the story of the 10 lepers that Jesus healed, right? We love that story, especially when it comes to talking about thanksgiving or gratitude. And if you're unfamiliar with it, the story is that there are 10 lepers, and they come to Jesus, and Jesus heals all 10 of them. He tells them to go to show yourself to the priest, and you will be healed. And so all 10 lepers go. They're all healed. God does a miracle in all of their lives. But we pick up the story in Luke 17, verse 15. It says, one of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Verse 17, Jesus asked, hold on a second. Weren't all 10 cleansed? Like, what's going on here? I know I sent 10 people away to be healed. He says, where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner? It mattered. The response of these 10 men that were healed by Jesus mattered. Jesus cared. He cared about what was in their heart. It wasn't just the healing that they experienced. He cared about their reaction. And he says, where are the other 9? And then he looked to the one. In verse 19, it says, then he said to him, rise and go. Your faith has made you well. Now, we kind of skim over this because the conflict in the story is that there are 10 men with a disease. There are 10 men with the disease. So that's the conflict. The resolution for us is that they were all healed. So why did Jesus say to the one, rise and go, your faith has made you well? Wasn't he already healed? Wasn't the leprosy already gone? So why did Jesus say that to him? Young's literal translation of that phrase, your faith has made you well, is thy faith has saved thee. And the Greek word there for saved is sozo, and sozo actually means true wellness, salvation, and complete wholeness. You see, 9 were healed from leprosy, but 1 was made whole. 1 was made well. 1 experienced sozo. Yeah, they all had their leprosy gone. They all had their symptoms gone, but one was made whole. To live sozo is to live the full life. And church, I want to tell you this morning, if you want to be made whole, if you want to experience sozo, if you want to have a full life, a life full of grace and joy and a peace that passes all understanding, we have to tap in to this idea of Eucharisteo, of gratitude, of thanksgiving for who God is. Psalm chapter 50, verse 23 says, "Giving thanks is a sacrifice that truly honors me." There's a reason that we spend the first half an hour of our time together doing what? Giving thanks. Spending time in praise and worship before God. It does something inside of us. Eucharisteo is the shovel that God uses to dig through the hard ground to make our well deeper.